When you picture your life as a young person and you wonder, where you're going to go and what you're going to do, it doesn't always turn out the way you want it. Hi, I'm Katie Walker and I've been living in Yass for nearly 40 years, where I've raised 3 children, my eldest Jessica, and then Victoria, and our youngest son, Alex. Jessica was always very vivacious. She loved horses, she loved dogs, and she loved people. Jessica was always sporty, musical, and artistic.
Jess would walk into a room and everyone's eyes were always on Jess. She just had this aura about her.
Prefect, vice head of house.
So 20 years ago, I lost my sister, Jess, to suicide. She'd been diagnosed with, a supposed psychotic episode.
Jessica was in the psychiatric ward for 8 days. They told us initially that she'd be there for a month, and on the 8th day, they said, "Jessica, you're doing so well, we think you're ready to go home today." And my whole face was just like, I don't believe this. The night before Jessica passed away, she was behaving very erratically. And then next morning, Michael at 6 o'clock said, "I think you need to get up, there's something wrong with Jess." And you could tell she was having another episode. And she said, "I'm going on a picnic." The last time I saw her was behind a hedge at 9 o'clock. She didn't talk to me. And I remember sitting out the front, waiting for her to come back. I did hear an ambulance in the distance about 11:30. And when Michael came in at lunchtime, I said to him, "Jess hasn't come back. Can you see if you can find her?" He went around the property and came back and said, "No, I can't see her anywhere." And I saw a car come down the drive at 2 o'clock. And I thought, oh, that's my friend, because it was a white car, but when it pulled up, it was a police car. And the policeman who came actually knew me. And he said, "Katie, where's Michael?" And I said, "He's over at the sheep yards." And he said, "I think we need to get him." And told me she'd been found dead on the Barton Highway. So that ambulance I actually heard was for Jessica.
And then I had to go in and identify her. It's something that you always think back on and think, could we have handled things differently?
Well, people saw on the highway, and it was only one person who actually rang the police.
Yeah, I remember going down to the bedroom and Dad was in there. And I remember seeing my dad cry, and I don't think I'd ever seen my dad cry. But I have this distinct memory of him looking at me and saying, "Don't worry, Tor, we're going to get through this because we're strong and we're going to be okay." And I think the reason why I have been able to kind of get through this is because of the resilience of my parents and watching them get up each day and putting, one foot in front of the other.
From time to time, I've suffered issues, mainly stress when things haven't gone right. But it's certainly a big issue in the country, and quite often there are a lot of ups and downs in the bush. One year you can have a fantastic year, and the next year it's a disaster.
So educating people on how to deal with that and help people is so important, especially in rural areas with men who are really suffering. And the number of men in the last year who've committed suicide in regional New South Wales is frightening. So we need people to be educated.
She obviously had been struggling for such a long time and was unable to talk about it. And I want to stop that cycle of people feeling alone and ashamed that they can't talk about how they're feeling.
What I'd like to see, obviously, is education. It's a matter of educating all of us of the impact that it can have not only on your life but on the life of your spouse and children. And the consequences can be dire.
And that people are more aware of how to react to someone who is going through a psychotic episode or a mental illness, instead of running away from them, to know how to handle it.
Often it's the people around you who are going to be the first responders, but often those people don't really have any knowledge around mental health. Where we thought we could make the most difference was in rural areas, in providing scholarships for young people that were interested in going into a mental health profession, with the hope that they would come back to the country and work, and also for training in a mental health course for people connected to the Country Education Foundation.
And I don't want what happened to her and to our family to happen to another family. If what happened to Jess can make an impact on, one family, two families, three families who could have potentially lost a loved one, I think that's, that makes, I suppose, her life worth it.
And a day doesn't go past where I don't think about her.